Good morning, everyone. I'm Blaine. Welcome to the Place Your Trades Network. We are the network that focuses on trading daily options using CME Group event contracts to trade E-mini S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell 2000, gold, silver, euro, crude oil, natty gas, and copper. Today, we have a great show for you with my friend ThiccTeddy. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Tradeovate, which has built a custom app dedicated to trading CME Group's event contracts. This is what we're all using at Place Your Trade. Please bring on Teddy. Hi, good morning.
What's up, Blaine? It's been a while.
It has been a while, too long, some would say.
Far too long.
So you've been on my podcast before. We've had a nice chat there. If anyone wants to go back and see that episode, you can search it on the Penny Lane podcast. It's been maybe a year and a half. Question one, what's the best beer that you have tried in the past 12 months?
I tried a lot of beers in the past 12 months, more than I probably should have. I would say, for the sake of not saying just an Iowa beer, I think I would go with the Modelo Negra, the Modelo Black. I drank a lot of those for about a 3-month span, and I can still rock a 6-pack of those pretty much any day of the week.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we've got the hard-hitting questions out of the way. Didn't we discuss seltzer and you're not a fan? Is that right?
So I hate all of the ones that are just fake beers that are seltzers, like White Claws and the other ones like Vizzy, Truly, stuff like that. I really like High Noons and the vodka ones though. Those are really good. Those were my jam for a while. When I did my podcast, me and Tony were hitting High Noons and the new flavors every week.
There you go. So what's going on with your podcast?
We took a break and then we came back. And as you guys know, the market is just not where it was a year or two ago. And we've kind of lost interest in it a little bit because we weren't getting, interaction. People weren't really as excited or having as much fun with it as we were the first 2 seasons. So the third season, we did about 10 episodes of just live streams and stuff. And then we were just like, all right, I think we're going to take a pause. And so indefinitely, we've just paused it. We have other things going on. Like we started a lesson plan. So we've been making videos about, step 1 to step 100 of trading certain types of trades, options, scalp, swing trading. We've been putting a lot of time into that. Tony and I have. It's like a Discord situation where it's a free platform with all these videos that we've made that are pre-recorded. So that's kind of taken over our podcast time recently.
Cool. Well, you guys are still, I love that you're still working together.
I don't think we'll ever stop.
Yeah. Since I've not been doing the PLP, I've really been missing Bo and Ellis. It's such a fun time to get to hang with your friends.
You learn a lot about people too, and you get really tight if you spend that much time just talking.
Totally. Well, I really would like to talk to you about your 1% a day methodology. And as you said on Twitter, you have a rant prepared, and I'm just going to let you go for it.
All right. I mean, I didn't prepare anything, but I'm a rantful person. I can talk about this sort of stuff. So everyone who has not been exposed to my Twitter, I mean, there was probably a year span there where I was tweeting, 1% a day in all caps, like every single day. I'm annoying on there. I probably get on people's nerves because I just say the same shit over and over and over and over. But 1% a day is, for me, something that the past 2 years has basically, it took my trading from, swing trading in a market that wasn't quite built for swing trading, because when we got into that bear market, swing trading was not the move for a little while there. You had to be a lot more selective. You had to play a lot smarter and more scalping than swing trading. So when I got into scalping, I didn't really know what I was doing for the most part when it came to options. So I had to learn all of that about 2 years ago. And what I came across was just the idea that I could play something and take gains within 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And I could consistently do that if my batting average was high enough. So I just needed to get my batting average, above 60%, above 65%, keep it near the 70, 75% if I can on a good week. And that goes with knowing my limits. That goes with having a realistic goal. And so I kind of had this idea that I needed to create a realistic goal for the day, a realistic goal for the week, and a realistic goal per trade, and just keep my mindset kind of tethered to those goals. And so the first thing I did was I kind of thought of, how much capital am I willing to work with based on my account size. So I started, I don't remember with how much money. I think I tested it out with 25K or something like that, 20K, just a test run. I started with 5% of the account. I started, and then I went up to 20% of the account. I was just bouncing around trying to figure out what percentage is best for me to use. And then I landed on 10% of the account. So, if you're using a $500 account, that's 50 bucks a trade. If you're using a $1,000 account, that's $100 a trade. A $10,000 account, that's $1,000 a trade. I landed on that because I could keep my stop loss at a pretty decent area, and I could also make a decent amount of money per trade based on my account size. And so what I landed on was 10% of the account. If I can make 10% on that first trade and hit my 1%, I'm just going to be done. And also, with that said, I really do believe in runners. I know a lot of people think, the 1% a day strategy is caps your gain percentage, which it kind of does. But if you leave runners, then sometimes you'll hit that 1.5, 2%, even 3% if you have a really nice runner. But for the most part, 10% of my account, a 10% trade, I can feel good about playing very, very light after that. If I'm trading with 25K and it's 2,500 per trade, I could make that 250 bucks, and then I can just play small after that. I could even play with my profits, take an option that's only 250 bucks and play with my profits. Or we can go 10% of the account and get 5% trades or 3% trades. It's really, really easy to just make 3% trades, because for the most part, every single trade you take, you're going to have an opportunity to sell in the green at least once or twice or even 3 times. And so I thought of, why wouldn't I? And, I want to keep my risk reward in a good area. So when I'm taking these trades, like before I get into them, I have an idea of where I want to sell. So if I'm thinking, if I have a bear flag, I'm kind of glancing over at SPY right now because I'm just looking at it. But if I have a bear flag I'm trading and I know that this has the opportunity to get 10% on the next 2 candles, I'm going to make sure my stop loss is only, 5%. I want to make sure that risk reward is in the positive. I want to make sure that I have about double the upside as I do downside. And everyone thinks, that's pretty tight. It is. It really is. But I like to play, recently I've been playing about a week out on these contracts. So 5% down on a week out is not too bad. That's it's not going to move there as quickly as if you're taking a 0 DT or a 1 DT. So I trade about a week out on these SPY contracts, that sort of a thing. And I look for that 10%, but I only want to make sure I allow, 5, 6, 7% downside with those stop losses, because I want to make sure that my risk reward is in the positive. And so for the most part, I just really think that it's a great way for people's mindsets to kind of just stay grounded. I don't really like the idea of all of the Twitter stuff I see where it's, people telling you that you can make, 30% of your account a day, 50% of your account, people doubling their accounts. I think if you have a $100 account, $500 account, and you have a full-time job and you're not really looking to, get consistent with this, that's fine. I really don't care about that. I have a Robinhood. I go YOLO some ER stuff all the time. I have fun. I like to gamble. I'm on DraftKings, all that sorts of stuff. I don't care about that sort of stuff. But if you're looking to be a serious day-to-day trader and be consistent with your gains, then I really think you need a consistent goal, and a goal that is achievable, and a goal that's going to make sure that you don't allow your emotions to kind of get overextended, I might say. So what I mean by that is if you're trading and, you feel that familiar FOMO feeling, that familiar, I need to get in a trade, man. What if this keeps going? What if I'm wrong and this goes 150% when you're down 10% already, down 20%? There's just as much of a chance as this is going to go -80, -75 if you're in an options trade, whatever it is. And this 1% a day really keeps me away from that sort of mindset. It keeps me in the, all right, well, I just lost 5% on that trade there. Let's move to the next. 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 I know that if I get that 1% a day, I'm going to be really, really careful and make sure I preserve those gains for the day. And that, for the most part, is why I really, really like 1% a day.
Wow. I mean, you really have that pitch perfected. There's such a kind of argument over capping your upside. And I know you discussed runners, but I have found it very beneficial to have a goal for the day, hit the goal, and walk away.
I agree.
Honestly, the more trades I take, the larger chance I'm going to be read, and like read by more than 1% of my account, right? It is almost impossible to take, well, not almost impossible, but I would say that like 90% of the time you take a trade and it is green for a point, right? And then you can like let it go red and let it go more red, but it'll bounce around and get green for a little bit. And I remember when I was doing Apple, I was just trying to make $50 a day. And as soon as it would go green, I would just flatten it at that $50 and was like, done,
Yeah.
accomplished. Like I was just in and out every day for 2 minutes, made my $50 and was out of there. And it was just, I really, really enjoyed it versus like this market. So I told you, I just looked, I was short QQQ and got stopped out. And now we're just like, maybe we're going back to the opening range. Maybe we're going to bounce around again. And if you try to trade this, it is almost impossible, right? You're like, we're going up, we're going down, but I like to trade starting at 9. I like to do the opening, which is how I was able to do it in like 2 minutes. And I said on Twitter the other day, I'm thinking about going back to a like $250 a day limit only because I don't really want to sit here and watch the market all day. I've got other things I want to do with my life.
Yeah, I think limits like that and just goals in general, like the 1% goal, the way I really thought of it when I was constructing it, and I have like a journal of like 50 pages of just me going through it for 2 weeks, just trying it, failing, doing stupid stuff with the whole like 1% a day or 2% a day, or I even thought about 5% a day if that was going to be possible. But for the most part, what I really, really liked about that, and I think it goes for the same as your goals of, you have that $50 a day goal, you have maybe a possibly like $250 a day goal, is it really like caps the run of emotions that happen when you're trading. Because when you start trading, usually people start down here and they slowly ramp up. And if you allow it to get to a certain peak, that's where I found that I'll be averaging down on a loser, or I'll be letting my stop loss, move a little bit more than it should be. I'll be allowing myself to be in a trade that I think actually set up the opposite way, just because I already have these puts or I already have these calls. And so when I like cut that trajectory off at 1% a day, it doesn't allow me to get to the point where I'm going to be doing stupid stuff or taking trades that I shouldn't be. And it also allows me to just go do stuff with my day. Like I'll go and go for a run. I was training for a half marathon a couple months ago. I'll go and, if I want to play video games, I'll play video games for a little bit, something stupid or something productive, whatever it is, read a book, practice a new strategy, try a new strategy for SPY or for Apple or Microsoft. But it really just cuts off the extra, the extra fat of trading that those emotions can leak into. And I found that to be just beyond helpful.
I absolutely agree. Now, you're a full-time trader?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been full-time?
It was before 2020, so a little over 3 years, 4 years maybe. Yeah, something like that, around 3 to 4.
How do you pay yourself?
I go through different phases where I decide what I really want to do. I don't really have a concrete answer. I do have a couple rules. If it was a bad week, I pay myself more. And I don't know if that's really, been talked about a lot, but I feel like for the most part, if I have a bad week, it's important to get my mind off the market. I pay myself more and I go do some shit on the weekends. That's kind of how it works. But if I have, just a normal week, like if I go, my normal week would probably be 4 red days, don't trade Friday is kind of how it goes. Or 4 green days. I don't know if I said red. 4 green days and don't trade Friday. I pay myself about half the gains I make for the week. Sometimes I'll keep more than that. Like occasionally I'll keep 3/4 of it, or I'll put like that half that I was going to take for myself. I'll put it in the long-term account. It just kind of depends on what I'm feeling like doing. If I want to go spend money, I go and spend money. If I don't want to spend any money, I'll throw it in the long term and buy some more. Amazon or Google or something like that. But a lot of it is just how much I need for the week and how much I need for the month. But most of the time, it's about half the gains. That's probably about the rule I go by.
And then how do you like hold out money for taxes? Pay yourself?
Yeah. I end up usually having to withdraw some from the account to pay taxes. I just filed taxes and it's stressing me out before I get my filings back and stuff. But for the most part, I have to end up just taking it out of the account. And usually I've transferred enough into the longer term account that I do it out of the longer term, because I like to keep my scalp account between a certain threshold on the low side and a certain threshold on the upside. I don't like to get too high, or else I start to feel myself get nervous in trades, and I don't like it to get too low if I've been taking too much out for taxes. I did that a couple of years ago. I took too much out of the scalp account, and it took me like a month or two to get back up to where I was making enough money to feel comfortable taking half out and living on that. And I was like, I don't want to do that again. So I keep it within a certain range, and I usually end up for taxes just out of the long-term account because the scalp is I don't want to mess with that too much.
For sure. That's the Jason Spatafora method right there. Every week he takes, some out to pay himself, some for taxes, and then the rest he really buys just long-term stock with, but he keeps it all in the same account, which I tried to do. And it got me to like, if the market's red and I open the account and I'm down, like hundreds of dollars just because the market, it's like mentally gets with me. And then maybe I take like a bigger size, crazier trade than normal just because I want to see the green.
Yeah, and also with that too, for me personally, if I have a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines from long term, I'm real tempted to use it. That's why for me, like the scalp account stays within the range, but I use most of that every single day, or a good portion of it, half of it most days, sometimes a little bit less. If I take 3 trades and they're all green, then I just walk away. And so that was only about a third of the account that I used. But if I have, that long term money that I'm waiting to put into something, like if I have a buy order on Amazon and I have 20K sitting there waiting to hit that buy button for that, I'm going to feel tempted to use it on a scalp or a swing. And I've done that in the past, and it's messed with my account. And I had to split them up. It was a smart thing to do.
For sure. Talk to me about how you've been able to have so many green days this year.
I just went through and did my statistics for the past 2 years. I've had 4 red days this year, and then I only had 19 in 2022, which I was pretty proud of. That was pretty cool. I don't know how many trading days there are, but it was averaging, I think, less than 2 a month, which was pretty sweet. But how I do it, I have to give a lot of it to the 1% a day. That really has, changed my scalping perspective, because before 1% a day, I was in the small cap scalp game. So I was doing a lot of stuff with, momentum, upside. I wasn't really inclined to downside. I wasn't really inclined to options. I was more so just those gappers, watching the gappers, looking for a flag, looking for a pennant, looking for a low volume pullback, that sort of stuff. And so when I got into options, I really kind of grew as a downside trader. And then throughout last year, I was really helped out by the market pushing to the downside as much as it did. So I made a lot of decent money on that, and I swung a lot of puts through that downside, not as much as I did scalping, but here and there I would take some behind the scenes put swings and make a little bit of money in the longer term account. But for the most part, it was that 1% a day and controlling my emotions that keeps me green every single week. I don't think I had a red week all year last year. Maybe one in there somewhere. I don't know. But I think it really has to do with just knowing myself as a trader. And I think that's something that doesn't really get expressed enough on the FinTwit world, because the FinTwit world is a little bit more, technical based, or a little bit more gains based. There's a lot of stuff about me making $1 million on the market, that sort of stuff. But if you want to be a successful trader, it's kind of, you have to learn about yourself when it comes to your trading and how is best for you, what strategy is going to work for you. I have friends who trade completely different than me. They trade longer term scalps, so stuff that they'll hold for a few hours throughout the day, and they make 200%, 300% on those, and that's their core positions, and they make a lot of money in the market. But for me personally, I really always valued building my own confidence up, and building my own confidence up came from just having green trades and having a high batting percentage for me. And so when I found these setups that were really high probability, I stuck to them. So it was things like 3-bar pullbacks. So if it was 5-minute candles, 3 bars on those candles on the pullback and low volume on that pullback. So if it's green, high volume on the candlestick, and then 3 lower volume red candles, I would trade that as a breakout. And I found I was winning 70-80% of those if I was making sure that they were smart ones. Same thing with high of day and low of day bounces or rejections. I was finding that if I mapped out yesterday's high of day and yesterday's low of day, I could use that as support and resistance. And I was batting 60-70% with that as well. And then overall, I found that if I was limiting those trades to perfect volume profile setups as well, so if I was taking those sorts of trades and then I was looking at the volume and making sure that if it was heading into resistance, it had decreasing volume, or if it was heading into support, it had decreasing volume, so that was more likely to see a bounce, because when the volume's drying up into a resistance or a support, you're more likely to see a bounce out of it. I found that I could I could bat 80% on those trades. And that was also with taking gains quickly. So a lot of it comes from taking those gains quickly because I found, I mean, I'll be honest, I've just found that for me personally, holding stuff longer does the same thing with the trajectory of emotions. If I hold things for a couple hours, I'm more likely to have a massive position by the end of that. I'm more likely to be, letting my stop loss be where it shouldn't be because for the most part, I don't take a loss over about 10 to 15% most days. If I even take losses, for the most part, 10, 15%, like I said, is the biggest losses I'll really allow myself to take on these positions. But with the batting percentage that you can maintain if you follow your own rules and know how to trade based on yourself, because I know my personal kind of the trader inside me is really emotional after a certain threshold and after a certain amount of money. So I've just found that sweet spot of, okay, well, about 10,000 a trade, that sort of a thing, and about making sure that I'm not holding for 30 minutes or an hour unless the setup provides that. And I do want to say also, I have something I'm kind of thinking about tweaking the 1% a day just to test it out within a few weeks. I want to see if I can cut the account size in half and see if I can get 2% a day on that. So the same amount of money, just a larger percentage in a smaller account, because it'd be cool if I could do the same with lower overall account risk. But I still want to pound home. I think for beginners, the 1% a day. If you want to be consistent, if you want to be a consistent trader, also you're gonna fail a lot with this 1% a day before you become successful. Because for a while I was trading setups that I shouldn't have been trading. I was trying to find intraday cup and handles, that sorts of stuff, and not really finding success. But once I found my groove, after I'd lost a bit of money on it, I found my groove on those. Like I said, the 3-bar pullbacks into breakouts, the supply and demand, the rejections, the support bounces. Once I found that, everything was just consistent from there, and every day built on top of it. And I just became I felt like just a machine every day. I was waking up, I was just pumping out the gains that I needed. I was going upon my day, coming back the next day, pumping out the gains I needed, going upon my day, coming back the next day. And 2022 just became basically this run of doing that over and over. And then when we turned into 2023, I just was ready. And I think I went like a month and a half without a red day to start 2023. And it just really felt like the culmination of that entire year. And then however long before 2022 that I was working on 1% a day, it just felt like it was all coming to fruition. And I don't even think I was tweeting much during that. I was just bang, bang, trade. I was taking probably 1 to 3 trades a day, making 1% and just being done. And it felt great, but it did take a while to get there. Obviously 2022 was great, but the beginning of 2023 was really where I can say that was probably the best trading I was doing out of my entire career.
So, have you heard the phrase, how you do one thing is how you do all things?
No.
I really like that phrase and think about it a lot. And I'm wondering if you have a lot of consistency in other areas of your life.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think that's just something I value a lot. I think my biggest, I don't want to say virtue, but thing that I value is peace and just living like a peaceful life where I'm allowed to choose if I want to go for a walk, if I want to do this, just having peace and not having volatility in life. And I think that kind of is reflected on my trading account because I don't like to see plus 10%, minus 8% the next day, plus 25%, minus 50% on my trading account. And I do the same exact thing during the day. I like to just live a life where I can go outside and value the outside, or, be inside and value the time playing video games with my friends, value the people on my Discord that I trade with on a daily basis, with not having a lot of outside noise and not having a lot of ups and downs when it comes to not emotions, but just overall, I guess, feelings and kind of just life. Because in the past I went through a lots of ups and downs just personally, and that was kind of before I started trading. And then when I started trading, things were up and down in my account too, and everything was up and down. And then I just really found that I enjoyed daily life, the grind, I guess. But I just enjoyed the monotonous side of life when I was just consistent and when I was just keeping that peace and when I was just kind of being smart about things. Sometimes I'll just go outside if I've had a good day trading, and I'll just look outside and sit there and just be like, wow, the sky's really cool, and stare at it for 20 minutes. And I couldn't do that before I kind of found this whole trading consistency and just kind of came with a consistency of life. And that really made me feel peaceful and comfortable inside.
I love that answer so much. And we're almost at the end of the time, and I think I'd like to end there. I really love that idea. Teddy, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on. It looks like the market's rebounding and still not doing much, but rebounding a little bit. So if you're finished trading for the day, congratulations. If you take another trade, I wish you the best of luck.
You too, Blaine. Thanks for having me on.
So good to see you. Bye.